Q6494-1. A new maintenance record being used for an aircraft engine rebuilt by the manufacturer must include the previous A. Operating hours of the engine. B. Annual inspections performed on the engine. C. Changes required by airworthiness directives. The correct answer is C. When a new maintenance record is being established for an aircraft engine that has undergone a rebuild by the manufacturer, it is necessary to include the previous changes required by airworthiness directives, ADs, in the record. These records play a vital role in maintaining a comprehensive maintenance history for the engine, ensuring regulatory compliance, and tracking any modifications or repairs mandated by ADs. Airworthiness directives are issued by aviation authorities, such as the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, in the United States, to address specific safety concerns or deficiencies identified in aircraft engines or other components. These directives may require inspections, repairs, modifications, or replacement of certain parts to ensure continued airworthiness and address potential safety issues. When an aircraft engine is rebuilt by the manufacturer, it is essential to establish a new maintenance record to document the ongoing maintenance activities and track the history of the engine after the rebuild. This record includes pertinent information related to the engine's maintenance, inspections, repairs, and modifications. One critical aspect of the maintenance record is documenting the previous changes required by airworthiness directives. This involves recording any actions taken to comply with ADs that were applicable to the engine prior to the rebuild. This information ensures that the rebuild process and subsequent maintenance activities are aligned with the requirements set forth in the ADs, maintaining the engine's compliance with regulatory standards and safety directives. By including the previous changes required by airworthiness directives in the maintenance record, operators, maintenance personnel, and regulatory authorities can easily track the compliance status of the engine and verify that all necessary actions have been taken to address any known safety concerns or deficiencies. It provides a documented trail of the engine's maintenance and helps demonstrate the continued airworthiness of the engine throughout its operational life. Overall, including the previous changes required by airworthiness directives in the maintenance record for an aircraft engine that has been rebuilt by the manufacturer ensures that the rebuild process and subsequent maintenance activities are conducted in accordance with regulatory requirements and address any known safety issues or deficiencies identified in the engine. This supports the overall safety and airworthiness of the engine and contributes to the proper maintenance and operation of the aircraft. 6494-2. If an instrument on a multi-engine airplane is inoperative, which document dictates whether the flight may continue en route? A. Certificate Holder's Manual. B. Amended Flight/Dispatch Release. C. Original Dispatch Release. The correct answer is A. When an instrument on a multi-engine airplane becomes inoperative, the decision on whether the flight can continue en route is governed by the Certificate Holder's Manual. This manual, also known as the Minimum Equipment List, MEL, or the Operations Manual, is specific to the operator or certificate holder and provides detailed guidance on operating procedures and limitations. The Certificate Holder's Manual outlines the procedures for dealing with inoperative instruments or equipment on the aircraft. It contains a comprehensive list of the aircraft's systems, instruments, and equipment, along with specific guidance on their operational requirements. The manual also includes the MEL, which provides instructions on the operation of the aircraft when certain components are not functioning properly. The MEL is a crucial part of the Certificate Holder's Manual and is developed in accordance with regulatory requirements. It identifies the instruments, systems, or equipment that can be inoperative and under what conditions the flight may continue safely. The MEL takes into account factors such as redundancy of systems, alternative means of achieving the required function, and the impact on flight safety. In the event of an inoperative instrument on a multi-engine airplane, the pilot in command or dispatch personnel must consult the Certificate Holder's Manual to determine the appropriate course of action. The manual will specify whether the flight can proceed with the inoperative instrument, based on factors such as the criticality of the instrument for safe flight operations, the availability of redundant systems, and the operational requirements of the specific aircraft. It is important to note that the decision to continue a flight with an inoperative instrument is not solely based on the pilot's discretion, but is guided by the procedures and limitations outlined in the certificate holder's manual. Compliance with the manual's instructions ensures that flights are conducted in a manner consistent with regulatory requirements, maintaining the safety and airworthiness of the aircraft. The certificate holder's manual serves as a valuable resource for operators and pilots, providing clear guidance on handling inoperative instruments or equipment on multi-engine airplanes. By following the procedures and limitations outlined in the manual, operators can make informed decisions that prioritize safety while ensuring compliance with applicable regulations. 6494-3. Information recorded during normal by a required cockpit voice recorder in a passenger-carrying airplane. A. May all be erased except the last 30 minutes. B. May be erased only once each flight. C. Must retain for 30 minutes after landing. The correct answer is A. The cockpit voice recorder, CVR, is an essential component of a passenger-carrying airplane's safety equipment. It records audio conversations and sounds in the cockpit during normal aircraft operations. However, it is important to note that the CVR has a limited storage capacity, and as a result, certain regulations govern the retention and erasure of recorded information. According to regulations and industry standards, information recorded on the CVR during normal operations may be erased, except for the last 30 minutes of recorded data. This means that older recordings beyond the most recent 30 minutes can be overwritten or erased as new data is recorded during subsequent flights. The purpose of this practice is to ensure that the CVR always retains the most recent 30 minutes of audio information. The retention of the last 30 minutes of CVR data is significant for accident investigation purposes. In the event of an incident or accident, this retained portion of the recording can provide valuable insights into the sequence of events leading up to the event. It can aid investigators in understanding the actions, communications, and sounds in the cockpit, helping to determine the factors contributing to the event and improving aviation safety. It is worth noting that the CVR is designed to continuously record audio information while the aircraft's engines are operating. However, certain circumstances, such as taxiing on the ground or during extended periods of inactivity, may trigger the CVR to stop recording to conserve storage space. Once the engines are restarted or other triggering events occur, the CVR resumes recording. The erasure of older recordings beyond the last 30 minutes is a normal function of the CVR and is not manually controlled by the flight crew or ground personnel. It is an automatic process that occurs as new audio data is recorded and the storage capacity of the CVR is reached. This cyclic recording mechanism ensures that the CVR captures the most recent audio information during normal operations. Overall, the retention of the last 30 minutes of recorded information on the CVR in a passenger-carrying airplane provides a valuable resource for accident investigators. By retaining this data while allowing for the erasure of older recordings, the CVR strikes a balance between preserving critical information for investigation purposes and managing limited storage capacity. This contributes to the ongoing efforts to enhance aviation safety and improve accident analysis and prevention. 6318. What document must you have with you while operating as pilot in command of an aircraft? A. An appropriate pilot certificate and a current medical certificate. B. A certificate showing accomplishment of a checkout in the aircraft and a current flight review. C. A pilot logbook with endorsements showing accomplishment of a current flight review and recency of experience. The correct answer is A. When operating as the pilot in command of an aircraft, it is essential to have certain documents with you to ensure compliance with regulatory requirements and demonstrate your eligibility to operate the aircraft safely. The two primary documents that must be carried are an appropriate pilot certificate and a current medical certificate. Pilot certificate. As a pilot in command, you must possess a valid and appropriate pilot certificate. The specific type of pilot certificate required depends on the category and class of aircraft you are operating, such as a private pilot certificate, commercial pilot certificate, or airline transport pilot certificate. This certificate is issued by the aviation authority in your country and verifies that you have met the necessary training, knowledge, and experience requirements to act as a pilot in command. It serves as legal proof of your qualification to operate the aircraft. Medical certificate. Along with the pilot certificate, it is crucial to have a current medical certificate. A medical certificate is issued by an authorized aviation medical examiner after assessing your physical and mental fitness to operate an aircraft. It ensures that you meet the medical standards set by the aviation authority. The medical certificate reflects your overall health and fitness to handle the demands of flight and helps ensure the safety of both yourself and others on board. The medical certificate typically needs to be renewed periodically, depending on the class of medical certificate and the regulations of the aviation authority. These two documents, the pilot certificate and the medical certificate, are considered mandatory for pilots operating an aircraft. They serve as proof of your qualifications and medical fitness to fly and may be requested for inspection by aviation authorities, airport personnel, or during ramp checks. Carrying these documents not only demonstrates compliance with regulations, but also promotes safety and responsible aviation practices. It is important to note that while additional documents such as a certificate of completion for a checkout in the aircraft or a current flight review, also known as a biennial flight review, may be required by certain operators or specific regulations, the primary documents that must be carried by a pilot in command are the appropriate pilot certificate and a current medical certificate. These documents are the foundational requirements for assuming the responsibilities of a pilot in command and are critical for safe and legal flight operations. 6336. An applicant who holds a commercial pilot certificate with ASEL ratings is seeking a MEL rating at the commercial level. On August 1, 2007, the applicant shows you a second-class medical dated January 2, 2006. May the applicant take the practical test? A. No. B. Yes. C. Yes, but at the private pilot skill level. The correct answer is B. According to the given information, the second-class medical certificate is dated January 2, 2006. It is important to note that a second-class medical certificate is typically valid for a duration of 12 months from the date of issuance. Therefore, assuming that no changes or regulatory updates have occurred since the knowledge cutoff date in September 2021, the second-class medical certificate would still be valid for the practical test. The practical test, which is the flight examination conducted by a designated examiner or FAA inspector, evaluates the applicant's competency and proficiency in operating an aircraft with a multi-engine land rating. The practical test assesses the applicant's knowledge, skills, and decision-making abilities related to multi-engine operations. In this case, the applicant holds a commercial pilot certificate which demonstrates their higher level of training and qualifications compared to a private pilot certificate. Therefore, the applicant is eligible to take the practical test at the commercial pilot skill level, as indicated in the correct answer choice. While it is important to maintain a current and valid medical certificate for ongoing flight operations, the practical test does not require a more recent medical certificate beyond the one presented by the applicant. However, it is crucial to note that the applicant must comply with all applicable regulations and ensure that they have a valid and appropriate medical certificate before engaging in any further flight operations after successfully obtaining the MEL rating. It is worth mentioning that regulatory requirements and medical certificate validity periods may vary in different countries or regions. Therefore, it is important for pilots to consult the most up-to-date regulations and consult with their local aviation authority or aviation medical examiner for specific requirements and guidance regarding medical certification and practical tests.